The province has had its proposal for a consumer carbon tax turned down by the federal government. And Premier Scott Moe says it's a political move. So what happens next? And could the Crowns be getting a new look? Here to provide some answers is our provincial affairs reporter, Adam Hunter. Hi, Adam.
Hi, Sam.
What was the province's carbon pricing pitch and why was it turned down?
So the main crux of the issue here has to do with the province wanting to set its own fuel price for consumer fuel. So what that means is instead of having the backstop we have now, where at the end of the tax season, you get some money in your tax return returned to you through the carbon tax. That's the current mechanism in place in Saskatchewan and other provinces. What Saskatchewan wants to do is something that New Brunswick did. Now, what New Brunswick did in 2019, which went into effect in 2020, is they cut their gas tax, which lessened the blow of the carbon tax rise in fuel price. So instead of gas going up by about 6.6 cents a liter, they cut that down about 4 cents so that they didn't make it that much of a sticker shock at the pump. The provincial government and Scott Moe said that they wanted to do this back in March after the Supreme Court case went against them. But the federal government and the Environment Minister, Jonathan Wilkinson, at that time, and even earlier, Sam, had signaled that what New Brunswick had approved wouldn't be the plan going forward, that the provinces were going to have to come up with something more rigorous for it to be approved, and that Saskatchewan's plan that was sent in May and turned down this week, it was rejected because the federal government says that if you go to the gas pumps and you don't see an extreme increase or even a marginal increase in the gas price, you're not likely to change your habits, and it's not going to have an effect on emissions, and that's the main goal here. And I spoke with an economist this week who wrote a report that was commissioned by the federal government looking at all sorts of carbon prices and designs across the country, including the federal government's. And it found that the fuel rebate, which is what the Saskatchewan government wanted to do, or a point of sale rebate, wasn't the best system to both reduce emissions and make people whole in their wallets. What other provinces are doing, like BC, which is an income tax cut, or the incentive that you get on your tax return that the federal government has, are better plans. So we'll see what happens next. The federal government says that they're coming up with new benchmarks, more aggressive climate targets for 2023, and that almost every province may need to resubmit a plan. But Saskatchewan will have to go back to the drawing board, and Premier Scott Moe said it's not fair that Saskatchewan has a different set of rules applied to it than is the case in New Brunswick.
All right. The government also saying it's looking at a new potential look for the Crowns. What exactly does that mean?
Yeah, this is something that was reported by our friend and colleague at the Leader Post, Murray Mandrick, this week, that the provincial government was looking at rebranding the Crowns, potentially changing the colors, logos. And I got a comment from the Director of Communications with the government who says that they're looking into this, that it's early stages, nothing's been decided yet, but they're looking at ways to align the branding of the Crown corporations, and that anything that they would do would be done with taxpayers in mind. Of course, you can imagine how much it would cost to change the logos and change the colors of, let's say, Sask Power or SaskTel. And this week, NDP opposition leader Ryan Miley says that he says this isn't a priority for the government. It shouldn't be a priority. There's many more important things that they could spend taxpayer dollars on, that they shouldn't be going towards this. And he's worried that they're maybe going to be choosing the government colors, which are close to the Saskatchewan Party colors of green and gold. And he says that's a bad sign. So a long ways to go with this one right now. It doesn't seem to be, top of mind for the government, but they're not ruling it out either, Sam. So something to keep an eye on.
And our first week without a COVID newser, so certainly other things to talk about as well. Thanks for this, Adam.
You're welcome.